Okay. After about what 5 days of cumulative Test match cricket, if I add both the first and the second Test, India are 2-0 up. Something which was not out of out of the typical expectation that we had. We were always hoping a 4-0 drubbing, so it's halfway there. But after the end of the second Test, which was today in Delhi, I think more than the joy that India has won and we are a step closer to the World Test Championship. The bigger surprise was the way Australia lose. So, welcome to everyone to just another cricket podcast. It's me along with Devankur and Gopal, my two school buddies. Let's get to the discussion, guys. It seems like Australia almost gave up in the second innings, whereas after the end of yesterday's play, I would have given them a 60-40 chance.
Actually, Santon, yes. I mean, at the close of day two, Australia. I mean, of course, Australia were 61 for one at a head of 52 runs. Head playing well. I thought probably Labuschagne, Smith, and Renshaw, Hanscom to come in to bat. I was actually expecting somewhere close to around 200 250 runs of lead, which probably they might end up asking India to score in the fourth innings. But yeah, the first session today where Australia lost about what 54
All
for
the nine
9.
wickets. They lost nine
Yeah,
wickets. They
54.
lost 8 wickets for
50, 50,
28 runs.
53. 53 for 9. Yeah, 53 runs for 9 wickets. So that says it all. When you lose 9 wickets in a session for so many such a meager runs, you know you are in a very big trouble. The surprising factor was the way they got out, playing those sweeps and reverse sweeps. That was extremely surprising. I thought Cummins had all his brains to be a very very good captain and a very good temperament. But the first ball hoik of Jadeja was an extreme shocker. So that sums up the Australians' performance today. I mean, they were probably wanted to be too aggressive and score those runs faster, but then it ended up giving India a 2-0 victory.
Yeah, and see that's the surprise. I was listening to Marco on air where he mentioned that see the ball is not turning square. It's staying low and it's consistently staying low, which means it's not up and down. So it's not four balls jumping and then two balls staying low, right? And this is what you expect. I'm sure this is what they have practiced back in Australia and all. But all they come, it's like going into those exams where you prepare all those, for over the months and all, and then you are absolutely clueless when something similar comes, right? You're not putting your thoughts together. So Devankur, everyone got out playing almost, or at least the top batters got out playing sweep shot, while all they could have done is play with a straight bat, right? I mean, trust their defense and play with a straight bat.
Yeah, except for Labuschagne, I think he has been impressive all this while. He was the only guy who was playing all the balls to its merit, and barring him, of course, you're absolutely correct. Everybody fell to this whole. I'll ask you a question later when about the sweep shot and this method to madness what Australia brought in. But you're correct, and what we need to also understand is that our bowling unit is a tremendously skillful, brilliant bowling lineup. So you cannot just have one, plan of attack against these four bowlers, because even if you're trying to hit Ashwin out, there's Jadeja. If you're trying to hit Jadeja out, there is Shami. If you try to hit Shami out, there is Siraj, there is Aksar. So you definitely cannot have a single line of attack or single plan. You need to have five different set of plans for these five different bowlers. And our bowling attack is number one in the world. I mean, let's forget about that. Red ball bowling, India is the best team right now because of the bench strength that we have. We have a mixture of medium pace, fast pace bowling attack who can bowl on any kind of conditions. We've got three brilliant spinners, Kuldeep as a fourth, and these three brilliant spinners are also doubling up as batsmen for us. So we've got a brilliant team, so to say collectively. But to answer your question about what was Australia's approach, I think what they lost was, I think somehow or the other they should have somehow paused if they thought that attack is the best game. they should have paused. I mean, every player who was coming out started hitting the ball from, started hitting from ball one itself. They should have taken some, a pause in between, analyze the cricket pitch, and then played. Because if you've heard all the commentators in the air, they are no longer blaming the pitch, but they are blaming the conditions now. As in, first half, the pitch is playing in such a way that the ball skids, turns faster. Second half, after afternoon, it gets easier to play because the pitch settles down and the ball is old. So that is how they're breaking it up. Now they cannot blame the pitch in itself. Now they're blaming it on sessions. Now if Australia is facing, the bowling on session number one, and they're failing to even score, 50, 60 runs and losing 9 wickets, and blame it on the session, I've got nothing else to say. I mean, their
Yeah,
attitude was to lose.
and you see, where I started this question from, they were actually, all they needed to do was score another 200 runs today. That's it, right? With all this thing, they still were ahead by 113 runs. They needed to score another 80, 90 runs, and this could have been difficult for India, and I can tell you, right? There was a panic when Kohli got out, right? And even Indians were trying to hit and get close to the wicket, close to the target, so that it's almost as if Australia give up in the last 15, 20 runs, right? But then, I agree. Indians are right now the best bowling attack. You put us in any conditions, in seaming conditions, swinging, or in the spinning conditions. But, some of those wickets that fell, even for Labuschagne, right? I mean, it's a ball that he should have got forward to, right? I mean,
Forward, yeah.
probably
Rohit
that
Sharma,
length in
similar to Rohit Sharma.
that yeah, I mean that length in Australia, you would have probably gone into the back foot and played that card. Yes, I know, but over here it's almost committed to getting into the forward. It was pretty much a straight ball, right? But again, probably you would say that the injuries to some of their key players are probably causing a disbalance in their team. I still felt that the three spinners will always have one person under bull. You saw that in India, for India as well. Aksar is under bull. Probably they would have gone with still Scott Boland, and then I think. The way it is shaping up, I know, it's just one more win away for India for moving into the World Test Championship. But the way it's shaping up, I don't see a long future for David Warner. I'll not even speak about KL Rahul. We'll come to that topic later. I don't see a long future for David Warner in the Test side anymore. Probably he'll play the remaining couple of Test matches, but come Ashes, I see Travis Head opening for sure.
I also see that. I really don't see David Warner. I mean, the concussion was a hint. Probably, if David Warner would have been in a great form, probably with that injury scare as well, Australia would have probably opened with David Warner itself and not did a concussion. But then the strategies were pretty clear that they wanted somehow to David Warner to come out, and this injury is going to probably give a line for the Australian selectors to take this as a reason and throw him off because of his not so good form. So
And if you, yeah,
Travis said actually proving that 40, of course. I mean, today morning, first over, he got a good delivery from Ashwin. That first over. But otherwise, if you look at yesterday's the opening piece, he played really well, and I don't see any change. So if for the third test from Australian standpoint, if Green is fit, then I see Renshaw getting replaced by Green in that slot, and then I continue with Head and Khwaja to open the innings. At least I don't see
So you
David Warner.
Renshaw came in place of Warner, right? So you're basically taking Renshaw out, and you're taking Warner out. So you open with Head and Khwaja, and then you get Green.
That will not happen, I guess. That will not happen.
I don't.
I think.
Go ahead, sir, Devang.
No. What I think is Warner will not be dropped right away because he's he's 103 Test matches veteran. Such matches, do happen to such players, and Warner has a very dismal record here in India also. But there is nobody else who can actually,
He will continue to have. See, the problem with Warner is not that he's not. The problem with Warner is he's just not failing against spin. He's also, Shami and Siraj will also take it.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly.
So,
And
it's just a
I
matter
don't
of
see
time.
Travis Head.
Yeah, go ahead.
Travis Head has been pushed up the order only for this innings. He has never opened for Australia before. It
No, but
was
then he
just
opened in the
because
white balls. He has
He
opened in
has
the
Yeah,
white.
he
opened in
has.
the white ball.
Not in the red ball.
So
Not
no,
in
I
the red
know,
ball.
but then
But
at least
yeah,
you
go ahead.
consider him like, yeah, you consider him like Rohit Sharma, right? He used to open in the white ball format, and then it was an experiment to try and open him in the red ball. Because once you are an opener, you still are used to playing a new ball. The ball can seam, the ball can swing, right? And then you are someone who can play a long innings, right? So he probably is not a born opener. I don't know if he was opening for his domestic side, but then he definitely has experience, opening the innings, and probably that's going to be one of the choices for Australia. Cameron Green, for me, I think once he's finished, he walks straight into the side because that gives a lot of depth to the side, as an all rounder. Because I think that's one key position Australia is missing. And if you see, it's the all rounders for India
Hmm.
who's making the difference.
Hmm.
Jadeja, Ashwin, it was always given that they'll take wickets. But if you take the
Wicket
runs out, if you take the runs
runs.
out of Aksar, you will
It's
see
Akshar
this
also.
gold.
series could have been a different result, right?
It's gold.
Yeah.
It's gold. Absolute gold.
So
No, no
Marco
two
Matthew
questions.
Hayden is talking about Mitch Stark also getting into the team if he's fit for the next. Who does Mitch Stark replace? I want Pat Cummins to be out of the team because he's also their KL Rahul. If you have noticed, Pat Cummins has not been performing, not with the bat, not with the ball, and he looks clueless, right? I mean, even on the field while captaining, there are good patches in between wherein he's taking good DRS decisions. But if Cameron Green is fit, he walks into the team straight enough. That's agreed. If Mitchell Stark is fit, people are saying the Australians, Marco and Matthew Eden were saying that Mitchell Stark also walks into the team because he gives a batting option. So he walks
They'll
into the
they'll
team in case of a third spinner, is it? Is that what they're
they'll
thinking?
It will
exactly
be.
they're
It
going
will
to
be.
drop a spinner. They're going to drop a
Exactly.
spinner.
Okay.
They'll
So
have
three
head
seamers and
hold
two
more.
spinners is what they'll go with.
I mean,
Yes.
you can say two seamers and two spinners, and then obviously, Head and Cameron Green becomes your fifth and the sixth bowler.
So
But I
Head, I
think,
don't think so. Head will play if Warner plays, right? Head will not play
no,
if
but
Warner plays.
No, no.
I don't know. The next match is like 10 days away, so probably
Yeah.
he'll get fit because he had a
One
concussion.
thing that
He'll
one thing that I was think one thing that I was thinking was Peter Hanscom keeping Alex Carey being dropped and they play both Warner and Head.
see. I don't think they'll make so many changes because and then this is the problem with Australia. Alex Carey actually is a good player of spin bowling. He can step down the line. He can actually
And
hit through the
look at
covers,
what he's doing.
right?
Yes.
But what he is all doing is playing sweep, 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 because
So
which means
sweep
as
or
if
reverse sweeps.
correct. I mean, whichever version of sweep, he feels as if there is one ball which will have his name written on it. But it's not that kind of a pitch. It's not that. It's not as bad as the Australians are making it look. I mean, let me put it in that way. The 4 wickets that have
Exactly.
gone for India as well. I'll actually call it a couple of wickets because that Rohit run out and the KL Rahul out were not typically that you have taken a wicket out of it. But then it's not that bad a pitch that it is made to be look at. Look at the way Akshar played, right? How many times he got beaten? How many times he looked challenged? All he did was play with a straight bat, right? And then he took his chances when there was a loose delivery. I think Devankur, to your point, Cummins looked weak in taking decisions. At the end of the day, a captain is not there only to take DRS, but look at his field placement. Even with 115 runs, India to win, all the spinners were bowling. There was not a forward shot left. And with
Yep.
the way Pujara was playing, right, he's playing more with his pad than his bat. That's definitely something. And even for India, I don't know where are those forward short legs going. Short legs. In the
You got muted.
sorry, can you guys hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah,
There
Yeah,
you
was a
got
call.
muted, please. Yeah.
I got muted. So I don't know what's happening, but Cummins definitely looked a weak captain. In Australia, there is a lot of criticism going on as well. But I don't know who's the next captain of this team. It cannot be Smith. And the rest, I mean, I'm not sure about Labuschagne. It looks a little immature, but I don't know who's the next captain. But let me ask this to you guys. Maybe with Gopal first. What does Australia do from here? There are still a couple of test matches. They're still a very proud nation. How do they make changes and what do they? Is it so much to do with the changing of players or is it to do with the mindset of the players who are going to take the field?
I think it's not a it's about changing of players as well, but then it's also about the mindset to actually play those. 90 overs of batting. I think that has actually not been the case if you look at it. Even in the first test match, they were bundled out for 177 in what in two sessions, and they were actually looking to play like a baseball cricket, what England is actually playing on the other side of the continent. So, in all said and done, you will have to respect the conditions, and you'll have to play to your strength. You can't be sweeping all the balls. And the ideal example that probably Australia would want to take it is the ones that the people who are sitting in the commentary box, Matthew Hayden and Mark Waugh, have scored tons and tons of runs against India in India as well. So especially Hayden. So and Hayden
Yeah.
actually played with that sweep, but then there was this chat that was happening with Ravi Shastri, wherein when you play a sweep shot, you reach the ball and then sweep it out. I mean, you don't blindly sweep it out, and that is what probably Australia is doing today. Uh, on the third test match, I see a lot of changes, but then one surprising thing today was, of course, the pitch was a factor. I don't see that happening it out. I'm not taking away anything from the pitch, but then 115 to defend, you have line bowling. If I would have been the captain, I would have said Cummins to bowl from one more end. And I mean, he's a genuine wicket taker. I one or two deliveries here and there, a quick double burst, and if Cummins is in reserve, he can actually clean a tail out with his bowling. So I was actually surprised that Cummins didn't bowl. I don't think he bowled as well. He didn't bowl a single over in the second innings, which was a big surprise actually. Which is a very big surprise. I would have probably given him a chance to bowl at it. Given that the other two spinners are not so experienced, and definitely one from one line would put you in under pressure. But a fast bowler from the other end, genuine fast bowler, would have made a couple of overs, or at least two, 3 overs, to just see what is happening.
Yeah, but then again, so you're not making a lot of changes for Australia. It's more of thinking of self belief. I think they got a 10 day off. They'll uh, come together, think towards their strategies. Again, I think it's not so much of demons in the pitch, but the demons are in the mind. Devankur, coming to the Indian side, if you take the contribution of Rohit Sharma and Aksar, Ashwin, and Jadeja out, the remaining seven players actually did not look great so far. I would say Kohli probably looked the best in this test. In the last few innings that he has played in the last 12 months, looks like he's coming back to the form. But otherwise, if you take those two, three all rounders out, because you'll not play three spinners in every condition. India has its own set of worries as well, right? I mean, of course, we are winning, so people are not going to talk much about that. But now let's come back to this point on KL Rahul. So, as we speak, the third and the fourth test squad is announced. I think the test squad remains the same. The only noticeable changes is no more a vice captain. So, do you think it's the first stepping stone? And after the comments made by Dravid and Rohit that they're continue to back him, do you still see him playing in third and the fourth test? Because if he's playing in the third test, he's playing in the fourth test for sure. So do you see him still playing, or do you think Gill is going to make the cut?
I think he'll play the third test for sure. He has been given this much of confidence by the team. But if you're saying that if he plays the third, he'll play the fourth, mostly that might happen. But if I think if he does not perform in the third test, then there is a high chance or high probability of Gill featuring into the fourth, depending on how we feature the third test. Because see, I mean, you are saying that we're almost through. I agree we're almost through, but uh, to be absolutely sure, we have to win one of the other two tests. If we lose 2-all, and if there is an upset there in New Zealand by Sri Lanka, which is 2-0, then there is an opportunity. Then Sri Lanka will topple us, and they will go play the WTC Finals with Australia. So for us to be very sure, we at least have to win one of the next two test matches. And for that to happen, if in Indore something bad happens, and maybe there is a change required, maybe then Gill comes in place of Rahul. And if Rahul plays well, he scored some runs, which is due, of course. I don't know when he'll score. Then possibly he still continues for the fourth test match. But prima facie, if you ask me right now, he has to be dropped because he looks woefully out of touch. And if you are opening players are not giving you that kind of stability or that start. Even Pujara is a little wobbly. I mean, he can give you those 20, 30, 40 runs of 100 balls, but the way he plays Lion, I think he can get out to Lion any particular ball. He's very iffy against Lion. He plays the other bowlers pretty well. He was playing Kunaman very well. He was playing Murphy very well. But against Lion, he looks like a walking wicket. So for us to fortify the start, I mean, and the start has to be with some intent. We've been discussing this amongst ourselves. Rohit Sharma, we have no complaints against. I mean, he's been playing really well. First Test match, he was brilliant. The way he came out, counter-attacking, 120 runs, brilliant. Even in the first Test match, he was playing well. He scored a good 34 with a strike rate of 50, but he looked assured. Even in the second Test match, he was a guy who actually took a score up ahead. But KL Rahul, you don't get that assurance. And if something of that sort happens, wherein you're losing the first wicket pretty early, and the Pujara, another walking wicket comes in, I think that has to be taken care of by the team management, and Gill has to be given a look, according to me. So third Test match for me, Gill should be walking in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sanders, I think, yeah, Sanders. So I think it is probably an indication that because I mean the media, I mean we cannot drop Rahul because he was the vice captain. I think this is an indication that he is going to get dropped in the third test match, given that his performance has not been really good. So I think that's a kind of an indication goes that Gill will make it to the 11 for the third. And I think that is the only prominent change I look into the entire squad if you look at it. Indoor being indoor with a lot of spin, I don't see any changes that is required in our lineup. I think we will go with the same set of squad with Rahul replaced by Gill.
yeah. And how about the first look of KS Bharat? Because I think for me he looked pretty assured, with the gloves, neat glove work. It's not easy keeping in these wickets, but this is a guy who's coming back of almost 80 first class matches. So he knows how to keep in these wickets, and every time the India A team plays in the country for any of the visiting sides, he's typically the wicket keeper. So he looked neat with his glove work, and the way he played some of the shots today. I know it was just a few runs left. He looks like a courageous guy because he got out to the sweep and he was still sweeping today to hit the sixes. I think the message is there to the rest of the people playing in that country who thinks of representing India, that if you're a left arm spinner and if you want to play for the national side, you have to be a good batsman. That's the benchmark that Jadeja has set, and Akshar is falling, and the Kuldeeps of the world has that pressure. Similarly, the likes of Dhoni and Pant has set that benchmark, that if you are keeping wickets, you not only have to score runs, you have to score runs fast, right? So I think those are the benchmarks which is set, which is good for Indian cricket. But what's the first impression of case Bharat Gopal?
He was pretty neat, Shant. I think in both the test matches, I don't recollect maybe one or there was one nick of Smith in the first test match that was dropped. Otherwise, I didn't see any nick that was getting dropped. In fact, couple of chances that he had taken, I think today with head in the first over, but were absolutely good wicket keeping skills. And to add to it, the 20 that he scored today was a crucial one. Of course, the targets was close, but then at that point in time, if probably if we would have got out, then there was utmost, I mean, more pressure in Jadeja, Ashwin, and Akshar to come and score those 20-25 runs. But he ensured that he's ensured that he is not giving an opportunity to selectors to open his gates unnecessarily. He has given the 20 runs. So good fight. I don't think we need to be worried about the wicket keeping option for some more months, because Pant will be out, and we'll have to see. And the next 2 months, this 20 will give him a good confidence, and I see him playing run being Rahul Dravid, being Rahul Dravid. I think he will give that confidence to KS Bharat, and probably in the right
He's good
choice.
with DRS also.
He's the right choice. Huh?
He's good with DRS also. He has
Yeah,
a good,
sensible DRS
sensible.
decisions. I don't think we were he was overly enthusiastic with taking in some DRSs. He was calling him out very clearly with the support of Ashwin and Jadeja. And I think, I mean, we need to probably see him for one more series later this year, including the WTC final, which are going to play it out and see
Yeah.
how it shapes up.
Yeah. I think in all probability I can say that, let's say, 80% of chances that Australia and India are playing at the Oval in the finals. And when India was playing in the second innings, the way the shoulders were dropping for Australia, I was almost feeling that every Australian was like, come to Oval and we'll play you, strength by
Let,
strength. But we are
let them
typically no match.
let them come to Oval. No, we have beaten England in Oval. We'll beat Australia in Oval as well. So see beating. See if you look at the international mix, right? India's uh, uh, the Indian opponents that Indian doesn't want to play is actually New Zealand. Barring New Zealand, if any other team that comes in, we are a good find to match them today. If you look
Yeah.
at it, even if it is England, I mean, I'm actually England the way they are playing right now in New Zealand with those baseball theories. They are saying that Ashes is going to be an extremely awaiting
Difficult.
series.
It's going to be difficult for Australia. But I'm so keen to see England in India, this England side in India, because
Exactly.
I'm telling you, even if they would have had a collapse, they would have scored a couple of hundred of runs. They would have scored a 200 run for sure, right? Because the moment you hit the likes of Ashwin and Jadeja, the field would have been different, the lens would have been different for sure. So I don't know, I might be wrong, but I'm so keen to see this England side, the likes of Harry Brook and Ben Duckett, who's actually so good with playing the sweep and the reverse sweep as well. Ranku, you wanted to ask a question on sweep. So what is that? I'm so curious to hear now.
Yeah, basically what my thought process is, like, I was thinking, and I also wanted to ask you guys. There's a lot of team discussion, before you go out, even when you're playing right now, your corporate tournaments and everything. You guys discuss that this is how we need to approach the match, right? And of course, today's discussion in the Australian rank was that we are going to sweep every ball that comes out of the hand. Now, when they're seeing that, the top batsmen are getting out to those, ugly hoiks, the ball is not coming up. Steven Smith is not even looking at the ball, trying to hit it, and he's missed the ball by a mile. So don't you again, in retrospect, stop yourself, talk amongst ourselves, and say that we need to change the approach, or still go big bang? That means that you've already, hatiyar dal diya, right? We have already lost the match. So what is your thought
Yeah,
process? Do you guys also think that if you have decided on only one course, that's the way to go ahead with it, or you can change it in between, which Australians didn't?
yeah. I think good question. The kind of cricket that we play, our corporate cricket, see, it's a lot different because we don't know what the opponent bowlers have, right?
No,
Over there in
I
New
do
Zealand.
understand that. But yeah.
No, no, I mean, I'm saying that the thought would not be. The approach could be that, okay, you know what, let us play some attacking shots, or we will set the target in this way, or the ground, it typically, because we know the grounds, we know the pitches, so the talk would be that, okay, it's a
The
small
attacking
ground.
shots are not only sweeps, right? My point is you can
Correct.
come down the track and hit the
Yeah,
bowlers for a sixer.
yeah, I'm coming to that point. So end of the day, the attacking shots are given to the batsman, right? So let's say I'm comfortable playing through the covers or stepping down the wicket or playing a reverse sweep or whatever. I think the approach could be what they discussed is that let's be a little positive, right? I mean, let's, and especially after the start that they had in the second innings where like 60 runs of 12 overs. I'm sure the coach don't go and say that, okay, sweep. It's to the individual batters, and why do they play that shot? Because they don't know whether the ball is going to be straight or it's going to leave them or it's going to come in. That is where they feel that a horizontal shot is more than playing with a vertical bat. The problem here is, it still works in places like Pakistan where you probably get a little bit better bounce, but the place where the ball stays low, you cannot play that shot. You cannot play that shot consistently, or you have to be an Andy Flower or the likes of Hayden who has a huge reach, right? Otherwise, it's going to be always a difficult shot to play. I think, it was almost like, they thought, okay, one or two shots and then probably the field is going to change. But approach overall, I mean, as you said, Cummins, first ball, a captain, and that's a hoik that he played. It's not even a sweep, right? It's just a hoik. Steve Smith, he
Pitched
was
it
way
well.
outside
Nice.
the line of off stump. It's pretty much in the middle stump or just outside off stump and he played a sweep. And these are better players than this, is where the problem is. I mean, they've almost like they're clueless, just hanging by the sword.
Dipankar, probably to answer your question, I'll probably answer it in a slightly different way. Australia, as Stanton said, should have only one target today. To that was that to play out 90 overs and score at least 200 runs. That should have been the target rather than playing out just
Mm.
say 30 overs and scoring some 100 runs. This is what probably Australia tried doing that, and that is where probably they lost the entire battle. Had Australia batted today the entire day with some patience, with some discipline, probably they might have ended up scoring something around 200, 220 runs, which probably in day 4, day 5, you don't know. The pitch can, I mean, Delhi pitch, we know it's going to get deteriorated. And tomorrow morning, first session, if at all that is the history that they want to see it, or whether the ball doesn't come out in the first session, tomorrow's first session would have been India's batting, then, which probably Australia didn't think through it. I mean, the thought process of the Australian team was completely haywire. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward for the criticism that the media is going to have for the Australian camp.
Yeah. Okay. So 10 days of break, which means no cricket. So life will not be that exciting. The IPL schedules are announced. So while we want to stay a little out of T20s and be like, okay, IPL is all the glam and this and that, and probably there is going to be a Bumrah comeback. But Test cricket is not going to be there, or at least the Indian Test cricket for the Border Gavaskar Trophy. But the good thing is it's going all as planned. A beautiful gift by Australia. I still feel that it's a match that they should have won, or being a little more competitive, but they pretty much gifted it in a platter to the Indian side, and will always take it. Thank you so much. As always, it's great fun speaking to both of you, exchanging views. You all are watching
Yeah.
just another cricket podcast. If you like our content, please give us a like, and please subscribe and share your comments. It's Shantan on behalf of Gopal and Devankur. Good night. Take care and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.